Well, hello everyone. It's Sybil Starr, and I am here to give the astrology forecast for the Taurus new moon solar eclipse that is coming up. We have started eclipse season. And just a little bit of teaching around eclipses, what they are, what they mean. So a solar eclipse occurs when the light of the sun is blocked by the moon at the new moon. It's the alignment. There's a new moon every month, but this alignment is where the moon comes directly in front of the sun and blocks its light. A lunar eclipse, which will follow after the solar eclipse in 2 weeks. The lunar eclipse will be on May 15th, and I will do a separate video on that. But that is when the shadow of the earth blocks the reflected light of the sun upon the moon at the full moon. Always occurs at a full moon. And so everything in our solar system is made of photons of the light of the sun. When that light of the sun is blocked, it changes the electromagnetic field of Mother Earth, and it allows more cosmic energy into our field. Many indigenous people and other cultures recognized the shift that happens during an eclipse, and so would stay inside and pray. And some would come out and make noise, whatever they could to bring the field back into balance. Some would even submerge themselves in water when an eclipse occurs. I do know that I went out once in a total eclipse that was visible here in the United States, and I did get very nauseated. But I have other friends that actually have spent significant time. They actually travel to see eclipses and have not had any difficulties at all. So maybe it just depends on the person. Anyway, so what they do actually is they are harbingers of change. Whenever an eclipse occurs, the area of life that it's occurring, and especially if it impacts one of your personal planets, can have some real impact. And it brings light to something that has been hidden. The solar eclipses impact consciousness, and it creates powerful new beginnings. Lunar eclipses impact the emotional body and our relationships. The energy or teaching can last up to 6 months or longer, especially if natal planets are activated. But the strongest time is just before the solar eclipse through the 2-week period to the lunar eclipse. And sometimes the lunar eclipse comes first. So it's a week before and after it's the 2-week period between the solar and lunar eclipse, the week before the eclipse and then the week after. So like a month there. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, all right. So this particular solar eclipse occurs at 11 degrees of Taurus on April 30th, and the new moon is at 1:29 p.m. I think the maximum of the eclipse itself, though, is at 1:42 p.m. Pacific. And so this eclipse is not visible in the United States. It's mostly seen in parts of South America, Southern South America, and Africa, and the Atlantic. It strongly impacts those who have planets from 7 to 16 degrees of the fixed signs, especially Taurus and Scorpio, but also Aquarius and Leo. This is what is called a North Node solar eclipse, means it conjuncts the North Node. And so it's a powerful new beginning, a new vision for the future, and a great time to set an intention. And the Sabian symbol for this really backs that up. So the Sabian symbol is, and for those of you who don't know what a Sabian symbol is, there was a woman, her name was Elsie Wheeler, back in the 1930s, who had a vision for every degree of the zodiac. And the vision for this degree is a woman sprinkling long rows of flowers. And so I think this is very appropriate in this time of Taurus when everything is blooming. And so it is, what do you want to grow? And for it to grow, it needs nurturing, watering, taking care of it. What is your intention? Oh my light just kind of did something kind of crazy. All right. And so it is a great time to set an intention. It's a great time to be out in nature. And it's also, I feel like we're planting the seeds for a new earth because there's a new vibration coming in at this eclipse, an awakening of sorts. And so it's a great time to plant the seeds for your vision for the future of what kind of earth you want to live in and be in. And so first off, what is Taurus about? Well, Taurus is the sign that is, it's, as we say, it's ruled by Mother Earth and Venus both. And so it's very connected to nature, especially natural beauty, everything to do with nature. It's the sign that is most connected to animals, to plants, to all things living and growing in Mother Earth. And it's also about finding your center. The goal of Taurus is to find that place of inner calm. It isn't like the world is going to calm down. The question is, how do you find your center in the midst of this storm? As you can see, I'm sitting here in the midst of a storm because this is a very stormy like kind of an eclipse as I get more deeply into it. So it's to be like that tree whose roots go deep down into the ground while the storm swirls around. And once again, our connection to Mother Earth, hug a, go barefoot, hug a tree. Taurus is very much about being stewards of the earth, sustainability. It's ruled by Venus, so it has a lot to do with what we value. Taurus is the sign most connected to comfort and security, as well as the body, all things that matter, M-A-T-T-E-R, that have value and are of matter, our possessions, what we own, as well as our bodies and body wisdom. It's intuition through the senses, practical common sense. It has to do with finances, and ultimately it has to do with self-love and self-worth. Now, this eclipse is conjunct the planet Uranus, thus the lightning. Uranus is known as, is often symbolized by lightning, like lightning strikes. It's like so those sudden aha moments that come that change your life forever, and that can absolutely uproot you. It's about expecting the unexpected, that life is unfolding in unpredictable ways. And these unpredictable ways, these sudden aha moments, these sudden, and it's not just aha moments, it's like things that happen suddenly that change our lives in ways we could not have predicted, that can bring chaos, but also freedom and joy. They say, I was telling a friend about this eclipse, what it was about, and she says, sounds like chaos magic. And of course, that's exactly right. I mean, Uranus does bring chaos because it breaks down the status quo. It disrupts the status quo. That's a better word for it. It disrupts the status quo of the way things have been. And of course, in Taurus, Taurus likes comfort and security. And Uranus and Taurus is coming in, disrupting the status quo, disrupting the way things have been, and pushing all of us out of our comfort zone to make changes that we wouldn't make otherwise. They say that change is happens just beyond your comfort zone, where you feel comfortable. And Uranus is one of the planets that actually impacts the weather. When we see and eclipses can have changing weather patterns. So this eclipse could bring storms, earth changes, earthquakes, and lightning. And as I was saying, I was going to call this a whole lot of shaking going on, because we are all being shaken out of our comfort zones. Okay. And changes in the weather could be one thing, changes in the economy, changes in our goods. We know we're having supply chain issues, and so just kind of some, awareness around there. Uranus is also known as the Great Awakener, having downloads, insights, transmissions, things that, like I said, aha moments that come in and change our lives forever. Now, Uranus can also bring extremes of one way or another. And an extreme of Taurus could be making choices based on a need for extreme security, or extreme choices based on security needs, put it that way. And the more we hold on and the more we're tight and stubborn and not willing to move, we just keep getting shook. So, like they say, it's not change itself that is painful. What it is the resistance to change that is painful. So, and as it comes in, it can shift us into completely different timelines, because as things change, new information comes in. And with that, new choices and options that may not have been there before. So being willing to be flexible. That's really what the key here is being willing to be flexible and to flow with the energy as things move and change, because the more you try to hold on, the more you're going to get, universe is trying to shake you loose. It's also about the activation of sacred sites. And the crystalline grid that surrounds Mother Earth. This crystalline grid is the consciousness of light that surrounds us, is within us, and it encompasses Mother Earth and her geomagnetic field, and opens us up to the cosmos. And so I see sacred sites as kind of like the nodes, like the concentration of this energy, of this light. And as Uranus is coming in and activating them, then it spreads out all over this crystalline grid and raises the vibration and frequency. It's an upgrade. It's an energetic upgrade. And to know that sound activates the ley lines, which are part of this grid, and amplifies and upgrades the frequency. So during this eclipse, it's really important to use your voice, to know that your voice can activate things for action. Your voice, different sound instruments. This is a really great time to work with sound. And it's also the activation of our own energy system, our own nervous system, and our light codes. We may feel like lightning is striking us because Uranus rules electricity. So it's going to impact the electrical field of our body. And we may feel like we have our finger in a light socket. Kundalini may awaken and rise. And so the body may be going through many changes. And so using the analogy of the electricity and the light socket, it's so important to be grounded, just like you need a grounding piece of an electrical system. And so number one, of course, is to walk barefoot on the earth. During this month, I would say until a week after the lunar eclipse, it's incredibly important to walk barefoot on the earth, because the consciousness of Mother Earth is very palpable, very real, and she may be communicating with us. And I had this download or not this download, this idea, this transmission that came in, that there's a Pleiadian, I listened to a Pleiadian teaching that said that Earth is our mother, and she knows our names. And what I came to realize, how she knows us is how she feels us. When we walk on her, when she can feel our bare skin, she can feel who we are. She knows who we are. And we also connect with her more that way. It's called earthing, grounding into her. And so as we go through these stormy periods, it's just like that Taurus and the tree analogy, is to ground your roots deep down into her, to connect to the heart of Mother Earth. And as we connect to the heart of Mother Earth is how we move through these changing times. Okay. And to also take care of your body, listening to your body, you might want to do some salt and soda baths and things to neutralize your own energy field. The negative ions could really help. But taking extra care, making sure you get sleep, because with this extra electrical energy going on, you may not sleep well. So, magnesium is something that really helps soothe the nerves and helps you sleep. And there are other herbs like skullcap and St. John's wort and different herbs that soothe the nervous system and also bring out the light. And so, because the key is, as we're getting this energetic upgrade, is to be able to hold it in our body, because we are spiritualizing matter now. Our matter, our bodies are getting an upgrade, and not only the consciousness, but the consciousness of our bodies is getting an upgrade, so that we can walk in the world with a energetic, in a higher frequency. And of course, as we do, we can really connect more with the earth magic. Earth magic is so alive at this solar eclipse. The fairies, the nature spirits, the animal medicine, the animals are going to be speaking. Really be paying attention to those messages and synchronicities that come in. And as we are holding this higher energetic frequency, it's important to hold that vibration to what we put in our body, things that don't diminish it. Being aware of what food we eat, drinking water, music we listen to, the company we keep, all of those different things. Okay, sorry, I had to deal with something there. Okay. All right. So anyway, and so when we're, and another thing is to be in the present moment. Taurus is very much about being in the present moment with Mother Earth, because the truth of the matter is that's really all we have is the present moment. And when we're in the present moment, we can feel the flow of energy around us. And one of the ways is the guidance that is coming through synchronicity. Many synchronicities could be happening right now. The breadcrumbs that spirit is leading us on our way. And I just had a really incredible experience yesterday when I was with nature. I was out walking in the woods, and two beings really came to me just over and over and over. I had these dragonflies just coming, and I see dragonflies all the time, but they don't normally try to interact with me. And that's what it felt like was happening yesterday. They wanted my attention. And of course, I came home, and what do dragonflies mean? Well, seeing through the illusion and change and letting the light through. Okay. It's about remembering being a being of light. And then the second thing was a ladybug. I've never had ladybugs around me. And in the past week, once I had a ladybug land on my arm. And then another time, yesterday, I had a ladybug land on my chest, and she stayed on my chest for at least a quarter of the leg, right over my heart. And, ladybugs are blessings, and they bring good fortune. And so, I feel like things like this, paying attention to the really small things, of the way, especially nature is trying to guide us. And as I was talking about all of the shifting that is happening, I felt like, Mother Earth is doing what I'm calling the Mother Earth shuffle. And because people are being called to move, to change. And the changes I'm seeing are, one is many people are being called to move. Some are being called, their relationships are changing. Who used to be who used to have relationships with, let's just say, who's in your resonant field is changing. And then what you need to be doing, your mission in life, seems to be changing. And so I'm calling this the Mother Earth shuffle, that she seems to be shuffling everyone around. And so trust, and also trust the divine timing, the spiritual synchronicity of alignment of people, places, and events that are choreographed for your soul's highest good. And to know that magic happens when we can follow the flow of energy. Okay. Now, a couple of more things that are happening. There's a Jupiter, Neptune, Venus conjunction in Pisces, with Jupiter and Venus being at the very same degree. And I've been talking about the Jupiter Neptune conjunction for a while. But when we add Venus, we add the divine feminine, we add the goddess, we add the heart of the universe that is holding us. And to know that as all these changes are happening, we are being held and supported in the unconditional love of the mother at all times, that we are never alone, even in the midst of this chaos. And that we carry we in every cell in our being, we are her children, and we carry her source energy. We carry the heart and love of the universe in every cell in our being, and remembering who we are, that we are beings of love and light, and to know that love actually creates photons of light. I didn't know this. This was a new teaching for me. And when I thought about it, it's, when we see someone newly in love, how they are glowing. When we see a mother, my daughter-in-law is so in love with her baby that she just glows. And, we know when people glow, and we usually know it's because love is impacting them in such a big way. But, love lives in all of our hearts, and it doesn't have to be for another person. As we know, the saints and the holy people have halos around them, the field of light around them, and it is the light from within that shines. This is a portal of unconditional love. And one of the ways that I feel like it's opening our hearts to be able to create more photons of light is through compassion. Pisces, all of these planets are in Pisces, and Pisces is, that field of that place where we are all one, and is very attuned to suffering. And there is a lot of suffering in the world right now. And when we can meet that suffering with compassion, is when our hearts open, and we can let more of that love into our hearts, and then spread it around the field, where we once again raise the vibration, the frequency of the field, especially when we come into unity consciousness. Lots of prayers are being said right now, in the unified field of consciousness, to elevate the consciousness of humanity. And so I feel like the eclipse is coming in with a big piece of concentrated, focused energy for awakening. Whereas we're in this field that is already elevated and ready to receive this big upgrade. The key is into our hearts, to have our hearts open. Okay. One of the shadow sides of this is, one is being a psychic sponge, is as we're in this field of all that is, of this place where we are all one, it's hard to know what is ours and what is somebody else's. And so that's why the victim savior complex comes in. We also have to remember, because Saturn is in a square to the nodes at this time as well, that there's some karma balancing happening. And so it's so important how we can hold this field of love and raise the vibration, and not want to fix someone else. It's to let each person have their own experience, and to find their own way to the light. Okay, because that's how they get there. You can't drag them there. Okay. And you can still love them and let them have their own experience. And water is a lot of water symbolism here, because Pisces is a water sign. And of course, we know how much the water is suffering, and the water needs our prayers. And there's been many, many prayers that are being said right now for the water. And I got the message, the water knows this. Water loves us, and water has memory and carries sound. And it is a wonderful place to say your prayers in the water because they can travel all over the world, especially the prayers for the water. You know, the Ho'oponopono prayer is a wonderful prayer to say to the water and to others right now, to balance our karma, to make amends, to have compassion for ourselves and others, and forgiveness. It's a big piece of forgiveness because when we can forgive ourselves, we can forgive others. And to know that Pisces being the last sign, that everything is temporary. You know, our lives are temporary. As my teacher Joe T says, you know, the indigenous people are saying that in 2026 is when the end falls into the beginning. You know, Pisces is the last sign. And so there is a lot of things that we are releasing and letting go of as we have new beginnings, like this eclipse popping up too. So there's lots of little endings and beginnings. And to remember, you know, the Buddhist teaching of impermanence. Everything in this life is impermanent. And every single thing that I thought would last forever has not. And I have come to be okay with that, comfortable with that, being able to watch how things flow, where the cycles go, you know, the cycle of death, transformation, and rebirth, and when it's time to let go so that something new can be born. Okay, and just simply, and on the day of the eclipse, the Venus Jupiter is exact, and that is an absolutely beautiful aspect, as Jupiter is the what's called the greater benefic, and Venus the lesser benefic. They bring in prosperity, many blessings and gifts, but the gifts may come in unexpected forms or simply unexpectedly, since Uranus is involved in this eclipse and Venus is the ruler of this eclipse. It's a piece of trust and surrender that you will have what you need, whether that's money, love, health, whatever it is you are seeking, to know that there are gifts and blessings coming, and there's just a piece of surrender and trust, and to say thank you, and to say thank you for the blessings that are on their way. And just one more thing, Mercury, god of the mind, is at 1 degree of Gemini that day and conjunct Alcyone, which is called the great central star, the great central sun of our galaxy. It's in the constellation of the Pleiades. And so transmissions from the Pleiades is especially strong right now. They say that, our solar system is traveling now through the Pleiadian photon belt. So there's lots of messages coming from the Pleiades. And so you might get some really great, some beautiful transmissions coming in, and especially about our relationship with Mother Earth. So in conclusion, it's important to stay deeply connected to Mother Earth and aware of the wisdom of our bodies, that we are the embodiment of the love of the universe. As I said, we are in a process of spiritualizing matter, and to remember that we are the embodiment of this love, and that we carry this love in every cell in our being. There is an activation of the crystalline grid of Mother Earth and our light codes. Magic is afoot, and it's so important to stay grounded, to do earthing, and to be in touch with all the magic and Mother Nature. Everything is temporary. Lean into the changes that want to happen instead of resisting them, for that is when magic and miracles happen. I didn't say that, but I should have. We are in a field of infinite possibilities, and magic and miracles are afoot. And I had this transmission that said, when we remember who we are and that we are not separate from Source, is when we make the shift into higher frequency dimensions. We are not separate from Source. We are the embodiment of Source love and Source energy. And as Einstein said, all matter is energy, and energy is light. We are beings of light, and it is the vibration of love and joy that raise our frequency. Let us tune into the frequency of love and let our light shine. All right, it's going to be a beautiful eclipse, bring lots of changes, lots of excitement, and lots of beauty and love. All right, wishing you a wonderful month. So if you like this video, please click like and subscribe, and you can reach me on my website at sybylstar.com. All right.